Well, another week rolls on, at least for this podcast. It is Weather Wagers. Brett Thackeray, Dan Tomaso with you. And Dan, we roll on, but James Franklin does not.
I was going to say good morning, good afternoon, good night to a 10-year that we did not see coming to an end this particular season. That is for sure.
We did not, and that is where we're going to start because we've got a jam-packed episode today. Not only are we going to give you picks for this week because it's always fun when you get into the meat and potatoes of the season here, but we've got a lot to talk about surrounding our favorite programs. And remember, we're coming to you as meteorologists, which of course we are the experts in, but we're coming to you from the Penn State perspective, the Phillies perspective, college football, the NFL, as fans.
And more importantly, we are alums. We can't forget that.
We are. So we have opinions, too, and you're going to hear about them. But you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. We release new episodes every Thursday. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on Amazon. We're on Apple. And, of course, ABC27.com and the ABC27 News Plus app, wherever you get your podcasts. But let's get into it, Dan, because James Franklin fired after almost 12 years at the helm. Certainly, this was shocking to many people outside of the program, less so if you sort of were eating, sleeping, and breathing the program over the last 3 weeks and really over the last year when Penn State decided to give Franklin everything that he wanted. And then the national championship season dried up as soon as the Oregon game, the double overtime Oregon game, was over. What is, and let's start with some positive things here. It's no secret you and I have talked about. We are James Franklin guys. We really liked him. We liked him when he got here. We liked the fact that he was able to take us from a sanction-riddled world to really the heights of top 10 fandom, always being competitive, it seemed, and always getting us to the precipice, never getting us over it, which is why he's gone. But what is James Franklin's legacy?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just kind of laid it out there in some aspects that I think his legacy was the coach that Penn State needed in the post-Paterno era to kind of rectify things and bring this program back. And when he received the team in 2014 and 2015, most would argue those were the years that were going to be most lean because of the sanctions that were levied because of the actions or inactions during the Paterno era. Keep in mind, Bill O'Brien was there 2 years in between, too, and we have to thank him for his service, but there were a lot of guys that stayed that were high-quality scholarship players. That's a whole different separate story. So Franklin inherited a team that was devoid of a lot of that talent. He had to build it back up, and he had to convince the university to play at a higher level if they wanted to compete in today's Big Ten and in the national football landscape. When he took over, I mean, it was the dynasty of Alabama that everybody was looking up to. It was the dynasty of the building of Kirby Smart's team. And this was before NIL and transfer portal, and he wanted to develop it through recruiting and through development. And I think those first 5 years were the golden years of James Franklin. In 2016, he raised the bar even higher because we had an upset win at home against Ohio State. We ended up in the Big Ten championship game, which was one game I don't think you and I will ever forget because they came back after a half of deficit to all of a sudden a half of surplus in terms of offense and defense. And then the Rose Bowl was unforgettable that year too. So then 2017, 2018 brought new expectations. 2019, COVID hit, but then new expectations after COVID. I mean, it was fun, and it was enjoyable for the most part.
And it was a successful tenure for the most part as well. But the reality is, one wonders, if we were to rewrite history a little bit, what if Grant Haley doesn't block that kick? And what if that win never happened? Does James Franklin get 12 years? I don't know. What if in 2017 and 2018 we beat Ohio State? Do we lose a second game each year, or do we go on to be one of the top four
we'll never know.
in the playoffs? And those games really ended up defining his tenure. And I think for people outside of the program that may not understand, I knew that James Franklin's tenure was over the night of the Oregon game. Didn't know exactly when. Didn't expect him to lose to UCLA or Northwestern.
Well, even that, though, I mean, let's just talk about that for a second. What circumstances? I mean, the UCLA game now, looking back on it, you have their whole coaching staff gutted in the early part of the season, a total kind of unknown of Jerry Neuheisel, which obviously now he is a hot OC himself after winning against Michigan State. They have a big game this weekend. We'll get into it a little bit. So that happened. And then you get Tony Rojas out for the season. I just feel like, again, things were just kind of cascading in such a weird way in many aspects.
Yeah, and I think he knew it. But, I mean, after that Oregon game, you just knew. Look, one thing James Franklin is that I've always been able to recognize is he wears his emotions.
Sure.
And with every big game loss and every criticism after a big game loss, not just from our fans and our administration, but the media,
sure,
right, at large.
Yeah. Very tough on him throughout his tenure.
Correct, because he stated it. You know, the HBO did like a Hard Knocks show for 4 college football programs several years ago. Penn State was featured. And he said on that show that he wanted to be the first black head coach to win a national title. You knew it meant a lot to him. And you knew Penn State meant a lot to him. He was what did he say at his introductory?
I'm a Pennsylvania guy.
With a Penn State heart, yep. Right, at his intro press conference. So the place meant a lot to him. He poured his heart and soul into it. There's nothing more I wanted for him than to win a national title at our place, because then we could say, see, he did it. And he did it. And everybody else, forget about the criticism. We got there. So it was pretty painful that the realization came during that Oregon game after resources being poured into this program, after getting everybody to come back, that it was simply not going to happen. And so the time had come. But it's a shame, because I certainly recognize.
We got so close.
Yeah, I certainly recognize that he was a bit underappreciated. Forget about at Penn State, because I think there was a lot of times where he was appreciated. But I think nationally, the guy was underappreciated. And then for the media now to say, oh, my gosh, how could Penn State fire him after 3 games? Folks, this had been building. And you guys are the ones that criticized him consistently, made fun of him for the Great to Elite speech, which, quite frankly, I thought was one of his, pinnacles at Penn State.
Well, because it drove home the point we were all thinking.
Correct, that we weren't doing enough to compete. We weren't giving enough. Well, he had enough, and he didn't get it done, and things did spiral for a variety of reasons. But let's talk about his future, because you and I and many others are going to miss him, even if we do agree that it was time.
I think, too, you give this a little bit of space, a little bit of time, I think some alums are going to wisen up and realize what we had.
No, I think so, and I hope that he'll come back and celebrate that Big Ten championship season eventually. But do you find it odd we haven't heard from him? Yet?
I guess no.
Yeah. Give him some time, because I'm sure he's shocked a little too.
I think there's a lot of shell shock, but I also think he's smart enough to know what good is that going to do in the immediacy of it all. I think he does feel a little spurned by the media, similar to a coach before him. Joe Paterno very much soured on the media the longer he was in his job. So I think he's probably just kind of in his bunker, if you will, taking care of his affairs.
And he should.
Yeah.
I think he should, and he'll speak when he's ready. But
he did address the team, and I think that's the most important.
I think that's important, too. They let him do that.
The fans, the media were secondary.
Yeah.
The team, the people that he brought in, again, everyone forgets this. He was the CEO of the program. He brought in the recruits, the transfers. He helped to figure out what they were going to get paid. He helped figure out which assistants, how they were going to get paid. I mean, he really had a hand in a lot of people's futures.
Let's bring in Shiner. Guys, where do you see a good landing spot for him? Do you believe that he is going to coach again? And B, could he find a job in TV, which I think he would be very good at? Where do you think a good landing spot for him will be? And then just so that everybody knows, from what we're hearing, being reported, that, he has to look for another job. And when he does, Penn State may not end up owing him much of anything. If he gets a job that pays him $10 million a year at an SEC school, or at a rich school that is not, because remember what the market is now. He was sort of underpaid.
Yes,
I know everybody.
Everybody
wants to
so
talk.
Irritated with that.
Everybody wants to talk about the God contract he got in 21. Okay, but I'm just saying, as of now, $10 million.
It aged well.
It aged well. $10 million may not be unheard of for this guy, or even if he gets paid the same.
And this is another thing I wanted to bring up.
Hold on 1 second. Penn State would only owe him the difference, and if he's making more, Penn State may not owe him much of anything. That's why this buyout is a little bit of a myth, correct?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I want to say to Penn State fans that are ripping Sandy Barber, knock it off. I mean, I don't think she deserves criticism for this.
I don't know about that, but
it's the market.
Tough.
It is the market.
And it was
She deserves criticism for a lot of things. But yeah, I agree with you, Dan, because what was everybody else doing?
Right. And by the way, he was successful when he signed the deal. Sorry.
Yeah, well, he was. But
he was
thing
just,
with
hold on a second,
deal,
though. He was coming off some unsuccessful seasons, though.
Well, but
but I think everybody hates
the
fact that Sandy took off 6 months after they signed the deal. And obviously it was reactionary to what was happening out at USC because of all the rumors. So,
correct.
I mean, at the time it made sense, and now everybody's slamming her for it. But what I didn't like about the fact is that it's on her hands, and then she skipped out of town.
Yeah, I mean, that's though.
Yeah, that is. But I think that's why people are looking more like, oh, you should be sued for malpractice because you took a leave right out. I know. I'm quoting some pundits as well.
I understand.
But, I think that's why everybody's soured on her, at least. But at the time, you're right. It was a reactionary deal that seemed necessary at the time because you did like what you were seeing out of the program outside of that COVID year, so.
All right.
I don't know.
Well, I think it's all fair. I think we're bringing up fair points, but I just, to keep this moving along, you each give me, if you had a destination that you think he would thrive at and succeed at, because I think we all want what's best for him. We feel, and Penn State feels, this was the best for Penn State, but what is best for him? Because we all still like the guy. We don't begrudge him anything. Certainly I don't.
No,
I just want one, whether it's a school, whether it's a network, whether it's on the golf course. Let's start with you, Shiner. Where do you see him? And it's got to be a legitimate,
it's not a lemonade stand.
It's not a lemonade stand, but also don't give me a job that might not be open. Think realistically. Where would be a good landing spot for him, do you think?
I think, one, this is a very unique year because it looks like there's going to be a lot of coaching changes coming up. I'm going to say Florida.
Interesting.
What do you think?
Well, he has a house there, I believe.
Yeah.
I believe. He's coached in the SEC before.
Yep.
Now, Florida's going to expect a lot, but also they're not quite at the level as Penn State is.
I was going to say, that's the big issue to me.
Well, but they have been at the top before, and they've been searching ever since the Tebow years, essentially.
Well, and
and the Urban Meyers.
By that program, made a very similar move with removing Dan Mullen from his job.
Correct,
Exactly.
and they removed him a little earlier in the process than we did with Franklin. Certainly, they didn't give Dan Mullen 12 years. Now, Dan Mullen, I mean, here's the problem, and here's another reason why Sandy Barber did what she did. Franklin was getting recruiting classes. Dan Mullen was not.
Correct.
I think Franklin would recruit the heck out of Florida. But does he want to rebuild something like that? Either way, he might have to.
Well,
he may have to.
He rebuilt Vandy. Everybody forgets about that.
I guess that's where my opinion kind of comes in, that I don't see a program opening this year that he could step right into and be successful year one. And I think that matters.
Unless, and I'm just throwing this out, what if, and I'll let you get your thought on, but the only problem with saying that now is this is very early in the game. Penn State opening.
What we know about.
Correct. Penn State opening, which is probably going to be the best job that's open.
Correct.
Could create some dominoes. For example, let's say, and remember, we're not reporters here. We're giving our opinion. We're giving our hypotheticals.
We see the field, if you will.
Yeah. What if Penn State lures Josh Heupel away from Tennessee?
Well, yeah.
Just hold on a second.
Yeah.
So, and this is
that
totally hypothetical.
That would cause some other dominoes to fall.
And that's my point. And then all of a sudden, Tennessee becomes open. Could you see him going to a place like that? Josh Heupel would be leaving the program really well off, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that would be an example that I think would be enticing.
So, okay, but get back to reality for a second. You don't see a job coming open that wouldn't require that rebuild unless another domino falls.
Correct.
So where do you see him going?
I see him taking a year off, probably getting into the media world, which if you go into that whole defrayment of cost issue, Penn State would be mostly on the hook for his salary, at least in the immediate future.
But again, that's only 1 year of it.
Right, correct.
It's still not the $49 million.
Correct.
It's not a lump sum.
No.
That'd be $8 million or minus whatever he makes in the media.
But I think to me, I don't see Arkansas being enticing enough to him. Plus, that may not be fully open if they go with the guy that's there now. But Florida, I don't think is a good enough job. I think we can say this as Penn Staters now at this point. Our program is better than Florida.
It is, and part of the reason for that is it's not that Florida hasn't ascended to the top recently. They have, and that's good. But I keep hearing they have facility issues. They have, again, modern college football. When Florida won last as national champions, it really wasn't the modern world, even though it was, not that long
could
ago.
James bring them to that?
Yes, I think that he
why
could.
I think it
but
might
I just
be a
wonder
good fit,
at this point in his career if that's really where he wants to go back to. Because he's
he might
not as
have
young
a
as
choice,
he used to be.
Remember,
well, the only argument against that, and this is why these live conversations are fun. You know who else is older that flipped a program around that didn't have a lot of resources? Kirk Cignetti.
Yeah,
and he's doing it at 64. James is 10 years younger. If he believes that Florida gives him enough support financially to go in the transfer portal and do that, he could flip Florida around without facilities upgrades right away.
Yeah.
So I do think that, again, because we're in that different world, and even though James is a bit of an old school coach, if Kirk Cignetti can do it, I think James Franklin can do it. And if he's given that opportunity, and he's a rah-rah, doesn't want to sit still type of guy. And I'm not saying he won't take a year off. He might. But I'm just saying Florida, I could see it. Now, let me give you guys mine. Okay, so we've got a Florida, and we've got sort of a TV year.
Yeah, ESPN, Fox, somebody.
I'm telling you where I think he would be great, where I think he would excel, and I think he would excel, and I think he would thrive, and I think they would eat him up. Because let's say he wins 9 or 10 games a year. I think at this place, that puts him right into being competitive. I think that puts him right into a conference title game now and then, and maybe even a playoff. Would it take some work? Yes. But I think the blend between the brand of this program and James Franklin would be a match made in heaven. North Carolina.
Oh, I thought you were going to go there.
I think that
really?
It's I do. I really believe that. Because let me explain. Let me
you have
explain.
the chancellor
Okay.
backing Bill Belichick.
Forget
right
about
now.
that.
Well,
Bill
but it's
Belichick.
happening.
I understand that, but again, whether it happens this offseason, and it should, or whether he takes a year off, if Belichick still says he's committed there next year, whatever. My point is, we know the Belichick era is a failure. Let's just
I was going to say,
get
what's
that
going
out.
to be left behind?
Well, it doesn't matter. What Franklin needs is he needs a place that will appreciate him and respect him. He's going to be one of the top coaches that's sitting out there.
That I don't disagree with.
And I think landing in the ACC, you talk about not having any pressure to win big games. There are very few big games in the ACC. He can go down there and win 9 or 10 games, be in the title game, and get to the playoff.
And what if they become a member of the Big Ten?
Fine. And they might. But I think the branding there. Couldn't you see Franklin hanging out with MJ on the sidelines? I think
know.
it would be.
I really can't.
I can.
Oh, man.
I'm not
telling
following
you.
this one. I'm sorry.
Wow.
I can't.
No, I
You make some good points, but yeah, I mean,
There's
but
so
that's
much
what
of
this
an ick
exercise
factor.
is, right? We're
I'm so
looking
confident
at what's out
that
there.
he could end up there. I would bet another steak dinner with you fellas.
Ooh.
I don't dislike the Florida thing, but I also think they may want to say, "Ooh, he's got this thing with the big games. We may go a different direction."
I was going to say that, and I think
So he
that's
does
where
have
the
that. Where North
Yeah.
Carolina, that I don't think they would care. He's still good.
I don't know that
I
he'd
don't
want to
know.
go to North Carolina.
Right. I think that's
where
the
I
thing.
see the
I think he wants to
back
go where
fall.
he's
So
appreciated.
if
though.
there are any type of violations coming out of this Belichick era, which
Hmm.
there's been hints of that, I really think he's going to stay away from it. He just went through that, so I just
Well, that's a point I'm not considering, but that's a fair point. But we're not there yet.
we don't know enough yet, but it doesn't
we're
sound
just,
good.
We're having fun here, so I think it would be a great match. Now let's talk about Penn State. Where do they go from here? You fire James Franklin because again the situation was becoming untenable. He looked hollowed out. The fan base clearly done.
Well, let me just insert something there. I wonder if he felt hollowed out because he knew what was coming down the line.
It looked like he did,
Right.
100%. And maybe he was given an ultimatum. But where does Penn State go from here? Now, listen, there's some obvious choices. We know the names that are being floated out there. So let's just get the elephant in the room out of the way. Matt Rule, Nebraska's head coach, Penn Stater, played for Joe Pa, grew up in Penn State. I think he went to State College High, met his wife there.
He did.
And there are folks that say that's happening.
Fait accompli.
It's obvious.
Yeah.
Now, it might be, and it might be happening because he's also very good friends with Pat Kraft, the athletic director.
Yes.
Okay? The problem is he also has a terrible record against top 10 wins. Okay, A top 10 opponent.
No, we know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
He's done very well in college to a degree. He's having a good season up to this point at Nebraska. But if you're Pat Kraft and you fire a successful coach with a $50 million buyout, are you not setting your friend up who, doesn't have, it's not like it's a big game hunter here. Aren't you setting your best friend up for a little bit of failure? Or does that not matter? Is this all politics? He wants his friend in here. Let's give him a whirl. And it's not just his friend. This is a guy that is beloved by Penn State letterman. He is a Penn State guy. Or are you aiming higher?
I think he's the guy. And you could tell, I think, by my demeanor, I'm not thrilled about it. It just, all signs kind of pointed to this when Pat Kraft was hired. And I looked quickly at the background. I saw this coming a million miles away. And to be fair, when you do get a new athletic director, oftentimes the football coach is in trouble no matter who you are.
They're on a short leash because that's just always how it is when you get a new boss.
So I just, in the back of my mind, this has been stewing before this year even happened.
Well, and that's fine. I also think that this hire is going to be Pat Kraft's legacy. And I also think that, like with any major college program, the AD is not solely the one that makes this decision. And what I mean by that is you have to have it be made by the board, by famous Penn State people like Letterman, and also by the money people.
Yep.
And if all of those people want Matt Rule, then that's fine. But I have a sneaking suspicion that they are going to try to swing for the fences here. Now, the problem with swinging...
I'm glad you have that optimism because I don't feel so optimistic about it.
Well, listen, and the reason I have some optimism here is if they thought the fan outcry was loud now, I think they're smart enough to know they need to get this thing back on track quickly. Look, the problem with swinging for the fences is there's not that many heavy hitters out there anymore. I was
going to say the list is not great this year.
Saban's gone. Urban Meyer, yes, I realize he's available, but also, again, he comes from the old college football.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that he wants to put himself through that, health issues or not. Both of them are happy.
I would love
TV.
to see him eating pizza on a four-wheeler to practice, wouldn't you?
No, because that means we're not doing well. I don't need another hollowed-out coach. The same thing happened to Urban. He was completely hollowed out.
Yeah, no, I agree.
We need, I would be fine trying to get Cignetti in. I don't know if that's realistic. I think I'd probably be fine with a guy like Drinkwitz. But, is there not even a hire out there like a Joe Brady from the Bills who might inject some totally new life in this place? I think you have to bring in somebody.
Yeah, that would be exciting.
That isn't an obvious choice that hasn't done enough. Look, if Matt Rule had a national title under his belt, I think I could get behind it.
If Matt Rule coached somewhere bigger than Temple and Baylor, maybe I could get behind it.
Correct. Or, if he had been leading Nebraska for 10 years and they were perennially in the Big Ten title game again.
And that's one thing I wanted to bring up is if anyone has watched a Nebraska football game in the last 3 years, are you excited watching them?
No,
I'm not.
They played one good team this year. Well, two if you count Cincinnati. They barely beat one, and they got blown out by Michigan.
Well, and the offense, if people thought our offense was boring,
now what about
I
the people?
got something to feed you.
What about the people that say, yes, but Dan, yes, but Penn State is going to commit and is already a better program than Nebraska, which I agree with.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So Matt Rule, when he gets to us, will immediately flip that switch, right?
I think that's fool's gold. I think what you see is what you get. Now, I also want to give some context here. I was at the game at Lincoln Financial Field when Temple beat Penn State. But again, they didn't do it by anything fancy. It was just mostly upfront physicality.
Yeah. I am going to be very interested to see how this goes because I do think, ear to the ground, Matt Rule's not a popular choice with the fan base. But you're really going to have to swing for the fences to get somebody that has head coaching experience and that has won a lot of big games to leave their current situation.
Something I really hadn't thought of when this whole thing happened, because we're in this new era, is it is really hard for any coach that's involved in any type of playoff run to become your head coach.
Which is exactly why Cignetti may be tough. He's going to be in the playoff, most likely. What about a guy like Mike Elko, whose name I've heard bandied about?
I like Mike Elko a lot.
But is he any better than Matt Rule, where, again, Okay, he's won some.
But it hasn't proven it.
Right. But now there, too, it's like we've also seen the prodigal son come back to a program that's his alma mater.
Scott Frost.
And be run out of there horribly. Does Matt Rule really want to do that?
Well, and that's what I wanted to say to you, that I think, unfortunately, now for this program, we have reached a point. We just kicked out a coach, kind of like Bo Pelini, where, you get so far, but you can't get to the next step. Does this become now, well, every 2 or 3 years, we're looking for somebody else?
It very well could be, and that's why this hire is so critical.
Right.
There's no doubt about it. Now, what about Terry Smith? He comes in, great guy. He's a Penn State guy through and through. Kraft says he has a chance. If Terry Smith wins out, he could have the Dabo Swinney story. You're not going to fire a guy that beats Indiana and Ohio State.
No.
And I realize, of course, hey, that's a pipe dream, but look at UCLA. It could happen.
And I've been telling you since the beginning of the season, yes, does this Penn State team offense inspire you? No. But the games they play are close games, and all it does take is a turnover, one thing to go your way, and all of a sudden you're walking out with a win.
Maybe a team that has a little life, maybe a better quarterback.
Well,
change?
So that's what I'm excited about. Sure, Terry Smith is a new voice, and maybe that helps, and maybe the guys play a little bit more with some fun and excitement with the change. But we have a new quarterback, and it's been a while since we can say that. That's the one thing with the Franklin tenure is that he rode with guys. He was loyal. He did it kind of the Joe Pa way, that you earned your stripes and then you got your spot and you didn't lose your spot. Well, now we have some fresh blood at quarterback, and who's to say the offense doesn't look better with him?
And who's to say that maybe Colt Nicky is on his own? Now, again, would it surprise me if everybody face plants at Kinnick Stadium? No, because that happened before.
Well, I think regardless of how we play, it's going to be close.
I'm looking forward to seeing what the product is like.
Me too.
And if it does come out and everybody looks different and hot, then that the Franklin tenure was getting stale.
The tightness, the anxiety of it all
was him, and that's what I mean. He coached that way. He felt that way.
No, I agree with you, and that's the part that I, as a fan, I'm looking forward to. That I will come into these games with a different perspective, a different thought in the back of my head, because I was tight just like James was in the Oregon game.
And I was sick of feeling that way, so now the pressure's off. All right, let's get to our Week 7 recap. We've talked a lot about that.
Do we have to do this?
We do, because guess what? Guess who gained some points toward that steak dinner?
Man.
I will take 500 or above every single week. You tanked at 3-7, so let's go over this. We both whiffed on Oregon. We didn't believe in Sig. We were wrong, and we really
Eugene.
It's criminal that we didn't believe in Kirk Cignetti at this point.
Okay, you said the money, or I said the money line was good. You took the points. I thought it was going to be a close game. You thought they were going to cover and win. I just, the Oregon loss, for as much heat as we're giving Franklin, I mean, Dan Lanning deserves a lot of heat. There's been a lot of talk, a lot of hype, and his team did not look that good.
And by the way, who has Oregon beaten? A 3-3 Penn State team?
I know.
Whoop-de-doo. Mm-hmm. Let's keep an eye on Eugene the rest of this year.
Boy, how things change so quickly.
Well, we certainly know that. BYU and Arizona, I got you there. BYU covered, and that was a double overtime game.
And it was a game affected by weather.
Which we did talk about, and they had a delay, and I don't think that helped Arizona.
No, it did not, unfortunately.
And BYU remains undefeated. We're going to talk more about that because they've got the Holy War this week with Utah. Speaking of Utah, boy, they look good, didn't they? And they covered. Now, I realize Sam Leavitt was out. They go to Arizona State. They crushed them. And what did you say Kenny Dillingham said?
He said he was worried people were talking about him getting fired.
Well, I would take him as Penn State's coach. I'll tell you that.
A little too young, in my opinion.
Well, young and fiery is good. But you just got to win. And how about them Cowboys?
We got a little bit of help at Carolina, didn't we?
Yeah, and again, you're playing an awful team, and Dallas completely messes the bed, as they say.
Yeah, that's putting it kind of.
I mean, the Cowboys are terrible.
Well, it's just we know it's a very poorly run franchise, but I also think what I'm learning now about the modern NFL is the deeper the season goes, the more weirdness, because these guys are beat up, they're hurt. The teams.
Well, I think we're learning that too in college now, because you don't have a super team other than maybe Ohio State. Right, the NIL has made rosters more competitive. Look at the SEC. I mean, there's weirdness that happens there now in the middle of a season. Georgia's not running the table anymore.
The spreads are much smaller.
The spreads are smaller for the most part, and if they're not,
then you got to think about it. Right.
Well, I think it's because Vegas hasn't caught up to that line of thinking. All right, Shiner, you got me here. I missed an over-under for the first time, it looks like. I should have believed in the Steelers. And who did they play last week? The Browns?
The Browns.
Yeah, and I was a little too confident that the under would not hit.
I think it was 9-3 for a good part of that game.
But they did cover. That's one of your three.
Yes, that's one of my three. The Steelers, I just feel like they have a real opportunity to separate themselves, and they're doing it.
Who thought either,
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is looking like he's 5 years younger again. DK Metcalf coming across the middle, breaking big runs. I mean,
also think, look at that division.
Well, it's pretty much
It's bad.
trash.
And remember, they play tonight.
No disrespect to the Baltimore Ravens, but they're on their way out without Lamar, obviously.
Well, and again, we record on Thursdays. This gets released Thursday afternoons. They play tonight. If you're listening over the weekend, if they don't beat the Bengals, which are now led by Joe Flacco, then, again, something has gone horribly wrong.
By the
John
way,
Harbaugh might be on the market.
2 40-year-old quarterbacks tonight,
Yeah.
which I think is the second oldest combination of quarterbacks since Breeze versus Brady a couple
it's
years
wild.
back.
No comment on that.
I know. Well, hey, I'll say bye
There's a
now.
couple of us in this room that are 40, okay?
I'm not one of
We're
them.
not professional athletes.
And we're sitting here talking. All right. The Bears did it, and I knew I sniffed that one out.
You did. You did a great job doing that. And again, the Commanders falling on their face, that could have been a game that they pick up on us. They didn't do it.
And part of the reason I picked Northwestern, which I got a check mark there too, is I knew the Franklin way. The spiral was on. I had total faith that this team just did not have it. And I got the check.
You did. You did. I just want to remind everybody it was a close game, and I thought Penn State was going to pull it off, especially after that Ross catch to get them down the field.
But you reminding everybody it's a close game doesn't really do much because
No, I understand
we were
that.
22-point favorites.
I totally understand that. I'm just saying that, again, it to me, it's just a shame. It is just a shame that 3 close games, 3 close losses, and here we are.
Yeah, well, but that's what happens, especially when you're all in. Washington covered, and that was good to see because they were playing Rutgers.
5-1 Washington.
Yeah, keep an eye on them too. Jed Fish, I've heard his name with a couple of jobs.
Thank you.
The under 43, I got that one right. And now refresh my memory. What was that? Usually I put the game on there, and I don't. I think that was that Red River?
Yes,
I believe
that was
it was
Red River. Yep.
Red River. And Texas surprised a lot of people by coming back, but I knew, given their offense, given Oklahoma's defense, it was probably going to be an under. And I believe I said on this podcast last week, the mighty Chiefs, the Lions were going to be the public line, the smart money, and all of the sharks were going to be on the Chiefs. I should have listened to myself, but I went with John Q. Public and picked the Lions because they look good and they go into Arrowhead and flop.
I think you just give Dan Campbell and that team too much credit. I'm still not
but
that impressed.
they were your team at the beginning of the season. I mean, you love the guy.
Well, I don't love the guy. I'm just saying that in the NFC, which there's a lot of weak NFC teams this year, it's the Eagles, it's the Lions, it's the Packers, maybe the 49ers.
And look
maybe.
Speaking of that, though, look in the AFC, right? The two of the better teams have flopped. The Bills, all of a sudden, the Chiefs.
Yep.
So it's interesting. And then, you picked the Eagles last week.
That game still.
Boy.
MetLife is a disaster for rosters, and now we are really, really hurting on defense. And I'm tired of these studies saying that the field doesn't affect these players because we had a heap of hurt coming out of that game.
Listen, if you're listening and you're not, I mean, who knows? We have many listeners, and they're from all over, but this is a typical Philly fan blaming the field instead of the Eagles' poor execution, poor coaching, poor defense overall. He's blaming the field.
Well,
I'm not. So I want everybody to understand.
Hey, we lost our best cover corner.
I was going to say that is a big factor.
Jalen Carter did
Jalen
not
Carter,
play.
Right.
I mean,
You
Landon
had
Dickerson's out.
You had your best second corner and
he's blaming the field. That's all I'm saying.
Hit each other coming across the field, almost knocking each other out of the game.
A lot of excuses. The point is, you lost it, and maybe we get back with the Vikings this week, and then I think it'll calm a lot of
I think it will too.
Philly fans there. But I love to stir the pot, and he blamed the turf. Ohio State is almost, you just pick them every week. They're money.
They're a machine.
If we're not doing that, then we're losing money.
Right? No, they're a machine. Now I did think Burt would give him a better game, but
Well,
here
but
we are.
They did cover. I mean, you picked them to cover, and they did. So Oklahoma, again, kind of flopped. I was shocked. Maybe it was too soon for Mateer to come back. I don't know.
3 interceptions. I think that's a pretty good sign. It was too soon.
All right, so let's show you where we're at in the steak dinner standings here. The season record. Guess who's back on top?
Mm-hmm.
Now we're both under 500, which
Dead
is a
heat.
problem, but we're hovering. I'm 35 and 37. Dano is 34 and 38. So let's get to this week and turn the page, and it is time for
Games of the Week.
And remember, we do try to find games that are affected by the weather. I will tell you, it was a little hard this week, Danny.
It was. But that's also a sign of the times that usually October things do kind of slow down for a while until we get into the cold of winter.
But we're not without at least a few games.
Correct.
And there are some weather games possible. We tried to balance that with picking 3 big games in college.
Or 2, yep.
And 3 big games in the pros. And we're going to start in Nashville, which will have some weather, I think, on Sunday for the Titans game, which we'll talk about. But on Saturday, it's
They
Vanderbilt
sneak
at
it in.
noon. Yeah.
Could be really warm for that game.
Are you surprised Vanderbilt's a favorite here? Because I'm not.
I am, only because of how they played against Alabama.
They're a 2.5-point favorite. But they held their own a little bit there, and I will say the LSU offense looks rough. Vanderbilt is at home.
But LSU's defense is pretty darn good.
They are, but so is Diego Pavia. Maybe we're giving you a little hint as to where we're leaning on that game. Then we've got the big one at 3:30, the SEC on ABC, Georgia. Now, let me tell you something. This is the line that shocked me, and the reason is, as you pointed out correctly, these SEC games, it's all ranked versus ranked now. The lines are tight. Georgia's a 7.5-point
This
favorite.
really surprised me when I saw this.
That's either one of those somebody knows something or it's a stinky line. I don't like it.
Well, Lane was really, really tough on his team, saying we're the number 4 team in the country and we're struggling with Oregon State.
If Lane Kiffin is the next Penn State head coach, would you say that that's a home run hire?
I would not.
Who's your home run hire?
That is a hard pass for me. Signetti's the home run hire. It's just, is it even feasible?
Okay, I just wondered about that. All right, then we go to Notre Dame, South Bend, Indiana, as USC and the Trojans take on the Fighting Irish. That's at 7:30 p.m. That's the NBC night game. And this line
stinks.
is also a little weird, isn't it? Almost a 10-point favorite. Now, Notre Dame has only lost 2 games to top teams by a couple of points. But USC's coming on, right?
Yeah, I was going to say USC's playing well, and if you've watched any bit of their games, Lincoln Riley's adjusted a bit. He's running the football, and it's not throwing the ball down the field 50 times a game anymore.
Well, so that's what I was going to ask. Is the reason for this, okay, Notre Dame gets some points because they're at home. I understand that. And in the past, the recent past, they've been the more physical team. I can buy that.
Sure.
But this year, it does seem like Lincoln's figured some things out, right?
Do you know what the number 1 offense is in the Big Ten?
USC?
It's USC.
And it's not just because they're passing the ball.
Correct.
So that's interesting. All right, let's talk about the weather because, again, it was hard to find some weather here, but we're going to take you out here. Now, remember, the Nashville game's at noon. I think that's fine.
Almost 80 degrees.
Think Athens is fine. But now, does South Bend get a little weather Saturday night?
They do.
And now, all of a sudden, that spread looks even worse to me because this game could be tight if it's raining at 7:30 in Nashville or in South Bend.
I think that's one of the reasons why the line stuck out to me. I think it could be a closer game, and we have to worry about lightning.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, it's warm enough. I know it's mid-October. You're not thinking about it, but there could be some lightning issues.
And the reason for that is look at that Nashville temperature. 78. It's going to be very warm ahead of this front. South Bend's going to cook all day, and then by the evening, they could have a little lightning in the distance. And also, because of that, look at the winds out ahead of this thing.
They're picking up right ahead of the front.
I think it gets a little breezy in Nashville ahead of the LSU game. Again, Athens, I think, is fine here. We're trying to pick big games, but look at the winds in South Bend. It's going to be enough, 10 to 15.
It's
where
not a nothing.
It's not a nothing, and so we have to keep that in mind. Now we move as we look ahead to Sunday and Monday. These are the NFL games that we're picking, and these are weather games. The Dolphins at the Browns is a terrible game to pick. Everybody listen to me. We're not always picking the big games here. We're picking weather games. I apologize. I apologize to anyone that has to watch this game. But it is going to rain in Cleveland, it looks like. Sunday, it'd be breezy, right?
It's going to rain. That is for sure. That's all I can really say.
How long does Mike McDaniel have?
I thought he'd be gone by now.
James Franklin was fired before Mike McDaniel. Think about that.
James Franklin was fired before Billy Napier.
Yeah. Patriots Titans. The reason we're picking this game, not because I think it's great. The Patriots look better this year.
They do.
Because of Mike Vrabel, in my opinion, who was the Titans coach.
And then the Titans coach did nothing in his 10 years, so he's now gone.
Yeah, a Callahan, by the way,
Yep.
not a shock. We've all had to live through. Speaking of Nebraska, Bill Callahan. That's
Another
his daddy.
strange hire.
The Titans, though, are going to get some weather in Nashville on Sunday. We're going to keep an eye on that. And then this one we just picked because it was a good game,
It's in a dome.
and we couldn't find a lot of other weather games. But the Bucks and the Lions, that's going to be a fun NFC matchup. That is Monday night on ESPN. The Lions favored here at home. But again, 5.5 seems
That
big
seems
for
very
a
healthy.
Buccaneers team that is not bad.
And they play a lot of close games, and guess who's having a great year? Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. So here's Cleveland and Nashville. Now, I do wonder if the rain is out of here by one for Nashville. I'm not so sure about that, though.
It'll be close.
It'll be
this
close.
is a very slow-moving front and trough of low pressure, so it may take some time.
It may. And again, it wouldn't surprise me if one or both of these places have lightning and thunder to contend with, too. But either way, it's going to be rainy. And I certainly think it could be gusty here before we get that weather in central Pennsylvania Sunday night. Now, look at the winds here. You tell me that's not going to have an impact on these games.
It
We know
should.
it will.
Yep.
The Browns game and the Dolphins game, again, a terrible game, but it might be fun to watch if there's bad weather. And also, the Patriots go down to Nashville, but let's be honest, I don't think that evens up anything.
I don't think it evens up anything either. And, this is the time of the year that players expect this type of weather. It's not unexpected that you get in October and things start to go the other way.
Yeah, so let's take a look at our picks. Saturday, I'm going to go Vandy. I think LSU's in trouble. I think their offense is ripe for the picking. And Dan, I am a little worried about Brian Kelly this year if he doesn't do more with what he's working with.
Well, no, it's the same situation, right?
Yeah.
You
a
have
way.
all the resources. You can't get over the top. I'm not terribly concerned about this game. I think LSU is a very good football team. Even if they're not the most balanced offensively, they play defense, which does matter.
Shiner, break the tie on this. Who do you like here?
I'm going Vandy.
Yeah.
Wow.
I really am.
Go Diego.
I have a
Yeah,
feeling.
I think Pavia is the guy that's
Tips the scales.
tips the scales, and I've just never been a Kelly fan, so I kind of want to see his demise. Although, here's a quick question: would you take Brian Kelly?
100%.
Yeah, see,
No.
I'm on the no side, I think.
No, Dan, because I'll tell you what, Brian Kelly is despised across college football
Chip Kelly vibes,
for many reasons.
same kind of thing.
And another Kelly. But
Yep.
I just, you think people from the outside hated our program and hated Franklin now. I mean, if we hire Brian Kelly, good Lord. I think that is
Yeah.
a total whiff.
No, I agree. I just
but-
wanted to see how you guys felt about
I would
that.
take him.
But
I
may-
loved what he did at Notre Dame.
see,
Truly loved
I
it.
would take Lane Kiffin over Brian Kelly any day.
Oof.
But having said all of that, Brian
Sideshow.
Kelly may be looking
Yeah.
if he loses a game like this. But Shiner and I think he will. Ole Miss at Georgia. We both feel it's going to be close. Now,
Yeah.
the reason, and by the way, I said last week, and I want to sort of just issue a correction here. It looks like we're sort of picking the same thing, right? A close game. But at least I've allowed the fact that Ole Miss could win. By picking Georgia money line,
Right.
you're not allowing that. Now, I understand we're betwixt the hedges, but I will allow the fact that I think Lane could pull it off. He has in the past.
Well, and to be fair, Georgia doesn't look like the Georgia of past years. Same thing
Correct.
with Alabama. They do not look like the Alabama of past years. It's just, I think one guy's the better coach and one guy's trying to be the other person, and it doesn't quite work out in the big games.
The one guy that you say is a better coach lied about calling a timeout.
Oh, yeah, the clapping in the...
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. That's a whole other story. Look it up if you don't know what we're talking about. Notre Dame, USC, 7:30 NBC. Again, it's a similar thing. I am allowing for USC to be able to win this game. I'm picking them against the spread here at 9.5. You're saying Notre Dame will win?
Notre Dame wins, but I think it's going to be much closer than 9.5. I just...
And listen,
that's
if Notre
shocking
Dame
to me.
wins by 3, then we both win.
Right, correct.
Okay? So that is a possibility, but I think Lincoln could go in there and get the upset because Notre Dame's defense concerns me a little bit there.
And this is a huge game for Notre Dame because this is the last big game on their schedule. They have to get this if they want a shot at the playoff.
And they can thank USC because it would be a ranked win at least.
Correct.
Because USC looks good, they could get a respectable out of that. No, we're not giving the Dolphins any shot here.
No.
Anything else to say?
I just, what has gone on in Miami?
Well, the team is lost. The coach is lost. They're another hapless franchise since Dan Marino left. It's sad, but they can't find any winning ways there. We both like the Patriots. I am going to, because of the weather, pick the money line. I don't trust them to cover.
Okay.
I realize the Titans are horrible, but again, maybe a new coach lights a fire. You never know what could happen.
But they need a quarterback to do that.
I see. I don't disagree, but just to be safe, I'll take the money line. You have them to cover, and we both like the Bucs here. Now, again, is this a little bit of what I said exactly last week with Monday Night Football? I think the Bucs are going to be the public favorites here. Oh gosh, 5.5, great line. Let's jump on board there. And you and I are no professional gamblers here, but do you think there's a little bit of, hey, Detroit's at home, they're reeling from losing to Kansas City, they're in the friendly confines of Ford Field. They go up there and they get their swagger back, and Vegas knows these things.
Yep.
Are we just a little too public here for you?
Maybe.
Okay,
But
okay.
I also think the Bucs are so scrappy. I mean, we've seen it in every game this year.
And they win close games.
They do.
Except against the Eagles.
Right, because Baker threw a pick. But for the most part, Baker wills the team back, even though there's not a lot around him.
All right, let's get to our Under the Radar game right now.
Under the Radar.
And we got a fun one Saturday afternoon. Here's another guy that was brought up this week in connection with the Penn State job, Mr. Dan Mullen. He's having a heck of a year at UNLV, although I think
I wouldn't hate that hire.
I wouldn't, but you got to remember one thing. The reason he was fired from Florida, and I realize it looks bad now, is he wasn't recruiting where he needed to recruit. I don't think he likes recruiting. He basically said he doesn't. I think at UNLV, he's probably happy to be, quote, under the radar.
Yeah.
But I also wouldn't hate it, but he would need to step up his recruiting. He goes to Boise. Dan Mullen is undefeated. Boise State lost to Notre Dame. They're also fighting for playoff consideration here. Both of these teams had the blue turf. Boise is a 12
Well,
and a
they
half.
lost their opening game too, didn't they?
They did against South Florida.
Yes.
You're right. So Boise's not the Boise of old. You're right. So they have 2 losses. 12 and a half points.
It's a lot of points.
Yeah. Weather-wise, they should be okay. But
Little
look
chilly,
at the
little chilly.
temperatures here. Yeah.
For a team coming from Vegas, that might be a factor.
Ooh. I didn't think about that. I like it. It does get up
In the
into the
hot
60s
desert.
late, though. I don't think winds
Just
are
a
going to be
very
a factor.
interesting part of the world. I just, when I put these graphics together yesterday, I was just thinking, not many people have probably been to Boise.
No,
I haven't been.
I don't think so. But the weather should not be a huge factor.
Correct.
The only thing would be the
The
cool
chill.
The cool chill. I think we both are on Boise here. We'll find out.
Yep.
But
Yep.
Well, maybe not. Let's hold on to that. Let's go to my
That's
best
a
bets.
tease.
I can tell you about this.
Time now for Brett's
We need the
Bets.
circus to arrive first.
We did. Well, it always arrives. And, we've been hot or cold on each of our picks here, but I have 3 for you. And I think I'm sticking in the college ranks this week, sort of like
That's
you.
where the fun is.
Well, Ohio State, Wisconsin, that's the 3:30 CBS game.
Wow.
Let me explain something.
25-point
Yeah.
line.
And by the way, I would lay it all, but I'm going to take the over here because I think Ohio State can get the over by themselves. Iowa almost did. There's no reason for me to think, even with Wisconsin home, you talk about a cooked team. Why hasn't Luke Fickell been fired yet?
James Franklin. Well, let's just put something out there. I know you've been quoted in conversations I've had with you that money is not a big deal at some of these programs. I think buyouts are a very big deal for some of these programs, whether it's Florida, whether it's Wisconsin, because these programs are getting so stretched thin because of revenue sharing, because of NIL, because of what assistants cost, that if you're trying to get a buyout going, plus then you have to hire the next head coach, all of a sudden you are getting stretched. And so I think it is a big deal that if these buyouts can be negotiated down or you wait till the end of the season, some programs may not have much of a choice.
37-0 against Iowa last week, though.
It's hard to believe.
And then with Penn State doing what it did, I think Wisconsin is going to make that choice pretty soon. Texas Tech at Arizona State. This is an interesting one. Again, I'm a little public on this because of what happened to Arizona State last week, but if Sam Leavitt plays, it may be close, but I like Texas Tech to keep rolling
Texas
through
Tech
the Big
is
12.
the hot commodity.
And why is that? Because
Well,
they
they-
just
yep.
they got infused with money. Okay, now the Holy War, Utah at BYU, little preview. I think Utah gets the win. I think they're a little tougher. I realize they have to go to
A late
BYU,
one.
but I think BYU gets its first loss here. Okay,
Very cool. Very interesting.
All right, your picks as we go to the
And I
Doppler
go to
Dandies.
the college ranks too.
It's Doppler Dandies.
Well, we've gone most of this show without mentioning the game itself, so I thought I had to throw it in here. Penn State at Iowa City, the house of horrors for the Penn State program. Maybe it takes a guy like Terry Smith to kind of exercise some of the demons and maybe get one done in Iowa City against a team that, if you play tough defensively, you know it's going to be a close game. So why not be able to steal one? And, I think Vegas knows this too, because obviously it's only a 3-point line for a home team facing a team that just lost a head coach. Why can't we be the UCLA?
We'll find out Saturday night. Speaking of UCLA.
They are now favorites against Maryland, which
How
I
about
love that.
How about that? Yeah.
What a turn of events. Now, speaking of Matt Rule was losing to Maryland last week for a good portion of the game. Pulled it out. Got to give him credit there. But that would have been a sting to his resume. UCLA, I think, could win this and win it big.
Whoa. I'm going to be watching now because that's a big statement. Although
7 o'clock, FS1. Got to find it on your dial.
But they have the offense to get it done now. And how about this? Speaking of another Penn State connection, Eli Drinkwitz, Bo Pribula going into Auburn.
Almost a pick 'em.
Hugh Freeze looks cooked, doesn't he?
I think it's over. So another guy. That's another job opening. Now, Auburn might be a program that James Franklin might fit at a little bit better.
I think they would melt down. I really do. I think they would melt down if
War
they hired
Eagle.
James Franklin.
I just wonder.
But, Missouri's got to go on the road, and they have to play Hugh Freeze. They have to play
What's left of that program.
Yeah, and Hugh Freeze constantly battling.
Jackson Arnold, who at times looks like the Redeemer, and then other times not so much.
Hugh Freeze constantly battling the referees, too.
Yeah, that was bad, thow.
Several weeks in a row.
That was really
I mean,
bad.
if I'm Hugh Freeze, I think, what do I have to do here? The visor gets thrown, and, do you want to, let me ask you this. Final picks coming up. Do you want a visor coach? Do you want no visor? I like a visor coach. Eli's a visor coach.
I want a coach that, again, I understand why Franklin did a lot of what he did, but he was mostly calm on the sidelines the last few years. I want to see a guy with some
coaching.
fire.
Yeah, I agree. But and maybe throw that visor down. All right, final picks time.
Final picks.
So a quick review here, and let's see. I think we're different on some, the same on others, but we're putting our reputation on the line. I took the lead last week, and I need to build. We're different on this one. I'm picking Vandy to cover the 2.5. You've got LSU money line.
I do.
Dan, tell us about Georgia and Ole Miss.
Well, I think Georgia wins, but I think the line stinks. I think 7.5 is pretty rich for what is kind of a rivalry game, a big game in the SEC. But I think they get the job done. You think Ole Miss could possibly win, but at worst they cover.
Yeah, and I think the same with USC, right? I think that's a big line. I know they're on the road and they don't play well when they have to travel, but 9.5 is big. Notre Dame's got to prove me wrong here. You've got a money line. We both like the Browns. We both like the Patriots.
Yeah, calls part of the dog pound. Why not?
Please. I like the Patriots. You like the Patriots. You're going to pick them to cover.
I do, just because what are the Tennessee Titans?
Bad.
Thank you for A.J. Brown, but,
they're
listen,
bad.
It's bad.
Bucks plus 5.5. We both like them to get the job done or at least cover in Detroit. Now, we are both not on Boise.
We are not.
You think they can cover 12.5? I think Dan Mullen keeps this one close. He's undefeated right now.
Interesting. Well, I just think, again, the home field advantage of Idaho, that blue field, I think they get it done. And I think Dan Mullen's due to have his program come a little bit back to earth.
We're going to find out in Idaho. Now, Ohio State, Wisconsin, I'm picking the over at 41.
Wow. Mostly on the Ohio State side.
Mostly on the Ohio State side. That's right. Texas Tech and Utah both cover for me, and you're picking all the favorites too.
I'm picking all the favorites. Now, you may say, well, Dan, you picked the Penn State game. I thought you'd pick Penn State to win. I just think it's going to be a close competitive game. I think it probably is a field goal game in favor of Iowa. I've seen that script play out before, unfortunately. UCLA, I picked to cover, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 10 or 17-point win. I really would not. Missouri, I think, comes back this week and wins a fairly big game for Eli Drinkwitz.
All right. Well, you've got some ground to make up.
I do.
Because we've got a steak dinner on the line, and we're excited about it. Do you agree or disagree? Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. We're almost out of time, so we have to rush the last segment.
That's okay.
But that's
We
okay.
got time to talk about this, too, by the way. It's not just this week.
Well, that we do, but it's kind of a rapid fire. Okay, so Shiner, get in here. Rapid fire from both of you. I will be the host. You guys have to answer.
Go ahead.
Rob Thomson was retained by the Phillies. This week it was announced he's back for 26. I've seen mixed feelings on this. Some people say, great. I mean, he's won more games every year. He's a constant presence. The players love him. And then other people say, okay, yeah, but we've ended the season. Maybe it's time for a change there. Well, he's back. That has been decided. Yes or no to that?
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'm good with it, too.
All
I
right.
like Topper.
Most of the Phillies could be back, but who do you think is the most likely Philly to be cut, to be let go of?
I think it has to be Castellanos, right?
Mine is Castellanos, followed by Ranger Suarez.
Oh.
What does this lineup look like next year? Who are we going after, and what do you think are some of the top guys we should target?
Me first.
You first?
I think Alex Bregman is target number 1. Target number 2 could be Kyle Tucker.
Shiner?
It really depends on Wheeler, I think. But yeah, you gotta, I think, find one more ace out there. Couple big names, but I really think they're gonna roll back if Wheeler's healthy with the same thing, and they get Ranger done.
Is Ranger back?
I think so.
Dan?
I think you have a very loaded rotation, and I think they want to see Andrew Painter in the big leagues. So I say they move on.
About time.
Wow. So, but you differ there. Is Kyle Schwarber back?
I sure hope so.
I think it's almost a done deal. And to me, it doesn't matter the years because you're paying for the first couple. I know everyone's all up in arms that he wants 5 years, but some of that could be to stretch out the money a little bit, which John Middleton has said he is in favor of.
I'll get my tense right, are Alec Bohm and Brandon Marsh back?
No.
I think Marsh stays.
Okay, I love this game, by the way. This rapid fire is working out fine. And then my last thing here on my notepad is the future Phillies you may want to know. You both brought up Andrew Painter. You're ready for him. What about Justin Crawford and Aiden Miller?
I'm excited to see Justin Crawford, but I want fans to realize he is not a power hitter. He is going to be a table setter either at the bottom of the lineup or eventually at the top of the lineup, possibly hitting 250 and above with some speed. Aiden Miller, though, on the other hand, could have a little bit of pop to him, and I think he's exciting in the field.
I think it all depends if they get something done with Bader or not, because I mean he was that spark with the bat, and obviously a great defensive guy out there when he's healthy. Yet again,
is he back?
I hope so.
I hope so
they
too.
Even if it's just a 1 year, 2 year, make it prove it to me deal. But I mean he was the most consistent hitter down the stretch.
One
there,
heck of a trade
for sure.
man. And I mean that's hard
great
to pull
defense, great defense. So
Really worked out well.
And I think he
And
liked being there, so
Again,
I really wouldn't be
he's a Philly kind of guy, just like Schwarber. I think because the way Schwarber fits into the blue collar Philly way,
I
that's
agree
why
with
you
that.
keep him around.
think of if he would not have been hurt.
Oh, I think about it a lot. Because
Yeah.
you could have slid him in at number 5 in the lineup, maybe number 4 when Alec Bohm wasn't hitting.
Yep.
I mean,
And maybe
really,
we're not bunting.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there.
No, listen, we don't end on a negative note.
No,
but I
don't.
I had to bring it up. That is our Phillies takes this week. We had to rush it, but we wanted to get it in because it's the off season now, and sometimes the off season in baseball can be really fun.
I love it.
Yeah, that's your time. But anyway, you can find us where, and we want to hear from you, weatherwagers@gmail.com. Tell us how great our picks are. Tell us how awful they are. But we're going to be around, and for now, we're going to sign off. We will see everybody next week. For David Shiner, for Dan Tommaso, I am merely Brett Thackeray.
And thank you, James Franklin, for everything you did for Penn State.
He is going to be remembered, I hope, certainly by you and I, as a very positive influence. Yep. And we want to thank CJF for everything that he did. He's going to be missed, but onward and upward for Weather Wagers. We'll see you next week.